Right, guys, thank you for tuning in. So, today's video is just about the revision of our morality in Islam section, which I've gone through with you already. So, when you're looking at morality in Islam, you're tying it in again back to the topics of peace and reconciliation. So, when we see peace and reconciliation, when we see morality, we're already automatically thinking things like the Quran, things like the Sunnah, and of course, we can also then link that to our Christianity within the ideas of where you see peace and morality in those religions, and later on down the line, where you can link that within indeed the other religions will be studying themselves. So, when you're beginning this question and when you're beginning this topic, you always have to look at what sources do you have for Islamic morality. Now, you treat this question the same way that you would treat your English answer. Or like in an English essay, you're talking about a comprehension or essay or a story or a poem. Or the same way if you were talking about history, how you'd back up any fact that you make. Once you make a statement, you back it up. Okay, so you can talk about how all religions have an element of morality, or how all religions have an element of peace, or how all religions that you study have an element of reconciliation. That's true. You'll get marks for that. But you also then have to look at it in the way of saying, well, how do you back up? Show me the evidence. And the evidence here is you go back to the sacred text. With Islam specifically, you look at the Quran. It's all about similarities here, guys. So you're looking at the similarities with the other major world religions. And every single religion that we're going to go through, or every single religion that you study, has their own version of the Golden Rule. We've touched on it before. It's the basic human principle of do unto others, or you wouldn't treat anyone unless you want to be treated that way yourself. So you don't do anything that you wouldn't expect to happen to yourself or that you wouldn't want done to yourself. Do unto others as they do unto you. So that's the golden rule. And it doesn't matter whether it's a religion, but the golden rule should be the basic tenement or belief of any decent, normal human being. That you treat everyone equally, that you treat everyone with respect. That's the golden rule. So that's another common link between all the major religions that we're studying. And the Islamic direct translation of this, or the direct reference to this, is in the Hadith. The Hadith being the recorded word of Prophet Muhammad, and it's none of you truly believes that what he wishes for his brother, that he wishes for himself. So this Hadith is in the direct book of Muhammad's sayings. Now, rather than a precise or set code of morals that you would see in some religions, such as the Ten Commandments in Judaism or the Five Precepts of Buddhism, Islam instead itself has developed an elaborate system of law and social guidelines. This social code is called the Sharia law. Now, the Sharia law comes from the Sunnah. It sets out, I suppose, the social and the rules for Islamic law. The best equivalent I can make of that, and when you're trying to tie it in, is the Nicene Creed in Christianity. Now, what you will also see is that there's negative connotations towards the word Sharia today, and falsely so. So when you're looking at this, Sharia means path. It loosely translates in Islam in Arabic as a path to life-giving water. So again, you're looking at water. Okay, so water is the sign of rebirth. It's the sign of cleansing, the sign of purity. Think of it as a sort of a baptism, a renewal of life. You need water for life. You need water for growth. Look at it through the five pillars of Islam. You're looking at it within Salat. You need water. You're thinking of that wudu, that ritual washing, that ritual cleansing before prayer. So, because Allah is the creator of the world in the eyes of Muslims, He provided them the right path to follow. He's the perfect deity. He's the perfect being. By being perfect, He is the thing that you follow, the deity that you look up to, the right path, the right way to go. So this shows this path for believers, which is Sharia law, which refers to things like religious practice, marriage, divorce and inheritance, commerce and crime, hygiene, dress code, and dietary law. Now, this pathway or the Sharia was developed around the 8th and the 9th century in the early Islamic states and Islamic countries. The Sharia has several different sources. So the primary source itself, if you're looking at it from a historian's perspective, is the Quran. The words of Allah themselves are revealed to Muhammad within that. The second source of Sharia is in the Sunnah. It's a collection of stories about the way Muhammad lived and set his example for others. This is an important source, as Muslims believe Muhammad was said to have been the most perfect man who ever lived. In that way, he was the ideal human. Like all religions, the Sharia is a product of generations of different, Islamic scholarship and different beliefs and different debate. Okay, there's seven different schools of interpretation which develops over the line, and Islamic scholars and Islamic leaders regularly still disagree about how the Sharia should be understood and applied. It's relatively common in the West to hear Sharia law mentioned in the news in relation to strict punishments such as, the amputation of a limb or a stoning. However, these punishments are really only reserved for the most serious crimes under Sharia law. And the reason why it's so relevant, you hear it from the likes of the Taliban and Al Qaeda and ISIS and all those groups who have hijacked the religion for their own twisted beliefs and interpreted those harsh forms of Sharia law. Generally, though, few countries in today's world apply Sharia law in its entirety as the legal law of the land. Now, among the few that do are Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, and Sudan. In many other countries, though, especially those with the Muslim majorities, Sharia is either a part of the legal system or is just used as an advisory or a guideline towards the legal code or the legal system. Muslims in Western countries such as, Ireland, Britain, mainland Europe, where Islamic laws plays no role in, either civil or criminal law. So Muslims believe in the law of the land or listen or work around the law of the land in each European country. However, there is around 30 Sharia courts in Britain, which, if needed by Muslims, helps them, on matters of divorce and inheritance law. But the thing is, with these British Sharia courts, while they're using that advisory role and they're used to try and help settle disputes, they're not legally binding. Now, we have Muslim dress here. So you have things like the khimar, the burqa, the niqab, the hijab, and the chador. So what we're going to look at there is the different forms of the dress code and how they work. So you have something like the khimar, which could cover your head, neck, and shoulders. The burqa, which is perhaps the most controversial, which covers your entire body, including your face. And your niqab then, which covers the face, showing only the eyes. The hijab, which is the general term and probably the most famous of them, covers your hair and neck. And then you have something like the chador, the full body cloaks revealing just the eyes or the face. Now, many Muslim women can be identified by their distinctive hair covering, which is called as hijab. The word hijab is an Arabic word meaning barrier, protection, or partition. So the principle behind the hijab, which is found in the Quran, is that of modesty. The Quran teaches that both men and women should practice modesty of dress and modesty of behavior. This can involve, covering up certain parts of the body and not engaging in showy or extreme behaviors. There's various verses in the Quran requiring modesty in believers. The Quran tells us that believing women that they should lower their gaze and guard their modesty. They should not display their beauty and their ornaments. So it's this idea that women shouldn't be objectified, or that men, for that matter, shouldn't be straying their focus. So it doesn't matter whether you're male or female, boy or girl, that you're modest, you're humble, you're not showing off, you're not doing anything to distract the focus away from what they would consider to be the perfect human. Now, it's believed as well that Muslim women should obey modesty of dress in the company of any man that theoretically they can marry. So when you look at it that way, the hijab is not necessarily one's fathers, brothers, or anyone that they're related to. And again, the concept of the hijab itself is practiced very differently by Muslims worldwide. Some Muslim women wear the full body garments, leaving only their eyes visible. So you could look at something like the chador or the niqab in that case. Other women Muslims do not follow special dress rules at all. So it depends on how severe the Sharia laws or how strict the Sharia laws in each country. In a lot of places now, the burqa is banned and it's proved quite controversial. Female Muslims compete in various sports and various athletics, especially in the Olympics, wearing specially adapted forms of the hijab, or again, it could be used as a form of your choice. Okay? So women can wear the hijab not because they're forced to or they feel obliged to, but because maybe they want to. It's another way of that 5 pillars of Islam. It's another way of Shahada. It's another way of that declaration of faith. And then other women just dress however they want and don't follow any special traditional rules of dress. Okay, lads, thank you for listening to that. More videos will be uploaded throughout the week, and see you again all soon. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.